There's a quick check off the highway not too far from where I live. It's the only place open 24 hours a day in my rural, middle-of-nowhere town. The drive takes about 25 minutes if I'm speeding, which I usually am. Out. Here, that's considered close. Basically right next door. If you need food, gas, or anything after midnight, that quick check is your only option. No streetlights for most of the drive. No houses. Just long stretches of empty road and darkness. That seems to swallow everything around you. My sleep schedule has always been terrible. I do my best work late at night, when everything else is quiet. I've been to that quick check more times than I can count, usually between midnight and 3 in the morning. I like to think I'm pretty generic looking, the kind of person who blends in easily, but I wouldn't be surprised if the night employees recognize me by now. This happened just last week, which is why every detail is still painfully clear in my mind. That night, I was coding on my laptop, deep into a project. My productivity peaks between 9 at night and 3 in the morning, and I was completely locked into that rare flow state. The only downside to working that late is how fast hunger hits. 1 minute you're fine, the next it feels like you haven't eaten in days. Around 2 in the morning, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I shut everything down, grabbed my keys, and headed out to get something to eat. The highway leading to the quick check is more of a local road than a real interstate. At that hour, it's almost always empty. No traffic, no noise. Just the hum of tires on asphalt and the occasional reflective sign flashing past. The drive there was completely uneventful. I didn't see another car the entire way. The stillness felt normal, even comforting. Nothing about that drive gave me any warning of what was about to happen. I pulled into the parking lot, went inside, and ordered a sandwich from the counter. While I waited, I wandered the aisles. I can't sit still. Very well. Between caffeine and my restless energy, pacing just happens. I drifted toward the back of the store, half browsing snacks, half lost in thought. That's when something caught my attention near the refrigerators lining the back wall. At first, my brain didn't fully register what I was seeing at the end. Of one aisle, there was a person sitting on the floor, sitting cross-legged, facing the refrigerator, completely still. It was such an odd sight that I almost ignored it. Then I snapped my head back to make sure I hadn't imagined it. I hadn't. He was really there. All I could see was a brown coat and jeans. I couldn't see his face, and that alone made me uneasy. Something about the way he sat there felt deeply wrong. I decided I needed to see his face. I walked a few aisles down, pretending to browse. My plan was to turn the corner quickly, get a look, and disappear before he noticed. I knew staring was rude, but curiosity and unease pushed me forward. The second I turned the corner, he snapped his head around and locked eyes with me. The movement was so sudden and sharp that my body froze before my mind could react. One look at his face told me everything was wrong. His eyes were abnormally wide, unblinking. His lip was trembling, like he couldn't control it. His posture was twisted and tense, like he was straining instead of resting. It was warm inside the store, yet he was wearing a jacket. But the worst part was his expression. He wasn't angry. He wasn't smiling. He just stared at me with a blank, lifeless look that made him seem almost dead. We stood there staring at each other for several seconds, though it felt much longer. My heart was pounding. My thoughts felt scattered. Finally, I broke eye contact and ducked into another aisle. My sandwich wasn't ready yet, so I stood at the counter, pretending to be calm. Anxiety crept in fast. I angled my body so I could see the corner of the store in my peripheral vision, half expecting him to appear at any moment. He never did. When my food was ready, I grabbed it and left immediately. I didn't hesitate. As I pulled away from the store and headed back toward the highway, something moved in the corner of my eye. I glanced back and saw someone running, full speed from the store entrance to the far end of the parking lot. When I recognized the brown coat, my stomach dropped. He jumped into a truck without slowing down. I didn't wait around. I sped off. The fluorescent lights of the quick check faded behind me, replaced by darkness. A few minutes later, I noticed headlights in my rearview mirror. At first, I wasn't alarmed. Then I realized they were getting closer. Fast. I was already speeding. My first thought was that I was about to get pulled over, so I slowed slightly, waiting for police lights to come on. They never did. When the vehicle got close enough, my blood went cold. It wasn't a cop. It was the same truck. The same one. From the parking lot. I've never been more certain of anything. I slammed my foot on the gas. The truck started flashing its lights and honking. Panic set in. I didn't know whether to pull over or try to outrun him, but every instinct told me stopping would be a mistake. As my speed climbed higher, the fear became overwhelming. Real fear. The kind that tells you death is close. By the time I hit nearly 100 miles per hour, my mind was screaming that I was going to die if I kept accelerating. I swerved into the right lane, hoping he'd pass and leave me alone. Instead, he matched my movement and stayed directly behind me, refusing to let me go. I started slowing down, preparing to pull onto the shoulder. The moment my foot came off the gas, the truck slammed into my car. The impact jolted everything. I grabbed the steering wheel and fought to keep control. That was the moment it became clear this wasn't intimidation or road rage. The man behind me was trying to kill me. There was no time to think, only react. I knew he was going to hit me again. At that speed, another impact would almost certainly send me spinning. When I saw the truck surge forward, I swerved hard to the left and slammed on the brakes. The truck shot past me, tires screaming. I watched it fishtail violently, swerving back and forth, before spinning completely out of control and disappearing off the highway into the dark field beside the road. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely keep driving. Every breath felt shallow and forced. I didn't stop. I couldn't. I pressed the gas and drove straight home, faster than I ever had before. The road felt endless. Every shadow looked like headlights. When I finally reached my house, I ran inside and locked the door, my heart still pounding as if the chase hadn't really ended. Once inside, I called the police and reported everything. I told them about the quick check, the man, the truck, and the chase. I couldn't give an exact location where the truck went off the road, but I knew the store had security cameras. They took my statement and said they'd investigate. My car wasn't totaled, but it was damaged enough to need repairs. The reality of how close I came to dying slowly sank in. It's been a week since it happened, and I haven't heard anything. Yet, I still don't know why that man went after me or what he wanted. Maybe it was random. Maybe it wasn't. His empty stare still creeps into my thoughts late at night. I still need to fix my car, but that feels minor compared to what could have happened. All I know is that I was lucky and I hope I never see him again.